My name is Matty Tamen, and I'm originally from Cameroon. I live in Waterford city in the Republic of Ireland, and I write poetry. I've been writing poems for a number of years, but sometimes I think I try to take it back to the days of my childhood when I got a book at the age of about 11 on verse. I liked a few pieces, and I was able after that to express my ideas somehow only in poetry. So it's almost the only way I can write things up to this time. The collection Dry Tears is an expression of deep felt emotions. They are, as I say, as I call them dry tears. The pain, it comes from pain. The attempt is to transmit the hurt that people go through, to be able to create an awareness so each person might know how hurt their loved ones could be, and could come in more effectively to be of assistance to them. It's not just about my pain, it's about the pain many people have gone through, about the pain that goes on in the world every day. What I consider the great difference about this book is the fact that Dry Tears is not just a work of poetry. It's not a work that's aimed at displaying the perfection of a poem. It's a work that's full of poems that had something to say and are said in poetry. Each poem in Dry Tears is a collection of thoughts, a collection of emotions that honor poetry, in fact, instead of Dry Tears being a work that portrays the art of poetry. It's rather a work that brings out the real substance of human nature. I've been inspired, first of all, in the content of Dry Tears by the people I've met and the lives I've seen people go through and some of the experiences I've had. But as to being able to express these feelings in poetry, I think I've been influenced to some extent by some other poets in a way. I can't discount the feeling I got when I read some works by Dennis Brutus, the South African author, who was able to bring out the pain of the circumstances of apartheid in poetry. I can't discount the understanding of message of poetry which I was able to get by reading a Ghanaian poet like Mensa. So I've been influenced by some other poets, but the content of the work is influenced especially by the deep felt emotions that I've gone through. I've had the great honor to be launched by John Halligan, who is an independent political activist, a man who's gone through and has heard all the stories of people who have had difficult journeys, and he would also be having contributions from Bernadette Stan, who is also a figure in the struggle for social justice, and would also have a take by Stan Phillips, who is also a clairvoyant and would be able to have a take on it. Miss Omani would also be doing a reading from a teacher's point of view. She'll be able to look at it, how kids react to difficulties in life. The whole idea was to be able to bring out the voices that are present in Dry Tears, to bring them out in the voices of different people. So it's going to be a reading that's not just done by one poet, but by a series of or by other people who would bring in their own emotions into the occasion. But the launch would be a straightforward occasion where the poetry would be heard and the books would definitely be on sale for the first time. And while the books cost €12, on the night of the launch, would be given an interesting offered to those who are present, and they'll be able to get the books at €10. Bringing out a book of poetry has its own difficulties, just as bringing out a book should have. It can be quite difficult to get a publisher. It can be quite difficult to get a mentor, because sometimes they're all occupied and you wouldn't fall within the time frame that you're expecting to achieve your goal. So I gave my work to a first reader who was unfortunately too busy to work on it, but I was lucky to have other readers who were able to do it, and I moved on to work with an editor who was very, very helpful, because I didn't realize how much someone else could see through the mistakes in your work, and it was quite a discovery that the professional editor was able to make such relevant suggestions that tidied up the work. I tried to work with printing houses in the locality, which I didn't succeed because of the bulk cost, and had to work finally with an online producer. The public would be able to get a better understanding of the difficulties, not only that they are going through, but that their loved ones are going through too. They'll be able to see themselves in the dry tears. They'll be able to hear their voices in the dry tears, and they will be able to understand why their own tears are also sometimes dry. Because while they might be crying, it might not be seen by anyone around them, and they might be knocking at doors, and these doors stay open because those whose doors they're knocking at just can't listen to them, because they are waiting for their tears in order to measure their pain. So dry tears is a call on everybody that you don't have to wait for the tears of the people around you to realize that they are in pain. It's rather hard to say, because I've been encouraged by a lot of people. I've had the benefit of having some association with Mark Rupert, whose course I attended once, and his suggestions and his advice was very, very helpful to me. I also have the advantage of having been able of working with some writers groups, like I've readily cite my Compass writers groups, with whom we've done a lot of work, and from where you got a lot of suggestions. And I always advise people who are starting to maybe join a writers club, because if the atmosphere in the club is right, it could really enhance your efforts and make you go further. I would also want to thank my colleagues of the Art Han at Bodnahan, who look at poetry from a much more performance approach, and it gives that it takes that little urge, it takes that scholarly attitude of poetry from it and gives it back to the people as a means of enjoyment, as a means of enjoyable expression of what life is all about. Dry Tears will be launched at the Ramada Viking at 6:30 p.m. on Friday the 13th of December 2013. I would really like everyone to have a read of Dry Tears, because in it there's bound to be something for everybody. It goes deep into the heart of human nature. Dry Tears is a turning point on how we deal with the people around us. Thank you very much.